You've been playing that wrong. This is another in a series of videos about the board game Scythe, in which we discuss commonly misplayed or misunderstood rules. And this video concerns the move action. The move action is one of the more complicated actions in the game, and so I guess prone to some misunderstandings. And I'm going to discuss several of them in brief episodes within this video. First thing to discuss is just the basic understanding of what the move action is. When you take your action marker and place it onto the move space, wherever it is on your player map, it gives you the right at the beginning of the game to move, and it looks like there's two little guys and two little boxes here. So the first thing to understand is that what this iconography means is that you move two different units. And at the beginning of the game, you can move them one space each. So from my home base here, I might move my character one space, and then I might move my worker one space. So I've moved two units one space each. It is not the case that this move action enables you to move one character two spaces. That is not a possible move action at the beginning of the game. You cannot combine those two boxes. Those two boxes refer to two different units. Now, at some point, you might obtain a factory card, and factory cards have a move action in their bottom row. So when you move your action marker to the factory card, you might take the top row action here, and then you would take the move action in the bottom row. And notice that the iconography of the factory move action is different from the iconography of the main move action on your player map, in that the two little guys here are in one box. So the box here is signifying how many units you can move, and the number of guys in there is the number of spaces that you're entitled to move. And so what this is saying is you move one unit two spaces. So even at the beginning of the game, as long as you have a factory card, it is possible to move a unit two spaces if you're using the factory move action. Upgrading the move action. There may at some point come a time when you take the upgrade action, pay 3 oil to do an upgrade of your choice, and you might choose to upgrade the move action. Okay? And you may, of course, choose to place this cube anywhere on the bottom. Now, what this means, you notice that there's a third box that has now become available in the move action. So on a future turn, when you go to take the move action, this is telling you you may now move 3 units one space each. 3 units one space each. And so I would, for example, perhaps move this unit 1, 2, 3 units that each moved one space. Of course, at some point during the game, you may choose to deploy a mech. So here on this board, I might produce first. That's my option. And then if I pay 3 metal, I would be able to deploy a mech. And many of the player mats, or rather many of the faction mats, give you the option of deploying a mech called Speed, which is often a popular early mech deployment. And of course, I would have to place my mech on the board somewhere where I have a worker. What Speed allows you to do is it allows you to move one additional hex if you are moving either your character or your mech. Notice those symbols up there on the faction mat indicate that these powers that mechs unveil apply to all the mechs and your character, but they don't apply to workers. So now that I have Speed in play, and now that I've upgraded my move action, I might in the future take the move action again. Notice that I can now move 3 units, and if they're a character or a mech, they get +1 movement. Let's say this is a little bit down the road in the game. Alright, so here I will take this character and move him 2 spaces. Okay, that's one of my 3 moves, and because it was a character, he got to move an extra space. I'm going to take this worker and move him to the farm space, but I can only move him 1 space because he's not a character or a mech, and so Speed doesn't apply to him, but that is my second of 3 moves. And for my third move action, I'm going to move that mech to join the character, which I can do because he's on a tunnel space. In any move from one tunnel to another tunnel counts as one hex, and then because I have speed, I can now take a second hex and finish that movement. All right, we have a situation here where we have speed unlocked, but we also have a factory card. And as we explained before, factory cards enable on the bottom row there one unit to move 2 spaces rather than 1 space. And the point of this episode here is to show that speed and the factory movement are in fact additive. Okay, so let's say on this turn, Polania chooses to take the factory action, pay a couple of coins to take the top of the factory action there to enlist a recruit. Okay, so I get 2 power for enlisting that recruit. And my factory card specifies that I get another power here, so that's a nice little combo. But now I want to take the bottom row of my factory action, which allows 1 unit to move 2 spaces. And I've decided I want my character to hunt down that encounter, which is unfortunately 3 spaces away. So I go 1, 2, because the factory move action allows me to go 2 spaces. And then notice that speed allows +1 hex per movement. So it's very accurate here. It's not saying that speed allows you to move 2 hexes. It's saying that you get 1 additional hex. So I get 1 additional hex on top of the 2 hexes I've already moved with the factory card. So I can, in fact, take this 3rd hex, and that would trigger the encounter at the end of my factory movement.